Hello everyone and welcome to my channel, or welcome back should I say if you have been here before. I am joined by my gorgeous little 11-week-old as of officially today. 11 weeks honestly feels like 5 months, but it also, I don't know what it feels like. It's 11 weeks doesn't sound a lot, but then I feel like 3 months, which is what we're coming up to, does. Anyway, this video may well be filmed in multiple parts, depending on how long he is going to sleep for, but it's really an opportunity for me to share some of the kind of realistic, honest truths about newborn life that I feel don't get spoken about enough. I feel like newborn life or the newborn phase gets spoken about loads, but it's either massively romanticised or it's spoken about in a way that puts a lot of fear into people. So I really want to just be honest and give you what I feel like is the in-between. The good, the challenging, the overwhelming, the honest truth about my experience anyway with newborn phase. I've got my little notes to the side, so if you see me looking to the side, that is why, because I've written down the 7 points that I want to talk about. And I think it's a really important reminder, whether you're in the newborn phase at the moment, you are pregnant, or maybe you're off the back of it, but you're kind of watching this video with children of your own. It's remembering that everything is a phase, and in the times where things feel really hard, it's like remembering it's a phase. And I really feel like with a newborn, taking things day by day is, for me anyway, the best strategy, because every day can look so different and they're still too young to be developing proper routines. There's not such thing as predictability. So it's kind of just remembering that we're all experiencing different things. We're all navigating different amounts of sleep. We're all, trying to figure out the best needs and rhythms for our babies. So this is my opinion, and I would love for you to share your thoughts, your experience of your newborn phase if you are in it, or if you're coming up to it and you have any questions, pop them below and I will do my best to shed some insight. So number one kind of realistic truth about newborn phase is you are never fully off. And this for me could not be more true. It's the listening out for them even when they're asleep. It's the thinking about what you've got to do next. It's that mental load that you take on as a mother for everything, that whether that's GP appointments, whether it's when they need a bath, whether it's if they've been fed, whether it's the washing that needs to be done. It's that kind of constant on that I feel I just wasn't aware of. I mean, I've never been a mum before, so I guess you don't know until you know. And it's not necessarily that it's stressful, it's more that it's just that constant on button. You can't switch off, I find even when I go to the gym for half an hour or went to get my nails done this week, it's sort of like texting your partner being like, are they okay? Or it's thinking, okay, I probably got X amount of time until they need feeding again, or when are they going to wake up? So it's sort of, that never fully off. That is a realistic truth that I find isn't spoken about enough, and it's something that you can't really prepare for. So it's just being aware of it and knowing that if you also feel the same, that you are definitely not alone. Okay, honest truth number 2. Time works very differently now. Now, this is not a good thing or a bad thing, I wouldn't say. It's that things just typically take... Oh, have we got someone that's waking up? Dummy has fallen out. Let me see if he'll take it and we'll carry on. Are you okay? We've had a bit of a broken morning, to be honest, because we went to the GP and had to wait an hour for our appointment. So his nap schedule has been a little bit disrupted. I might have to pause and come back. Okay, we are back in a slightly different position, and I feel like I'm going to have to try and keep my voice a little bit quiet because he's now down for a nap, hence the little hiatus, and works quite relevantly for my point that I was saying around how time works very differently. We can't always do things as efficiently. Some things take longer than they did before. You can suddenly be 9 a.m. and you're like, what have I done since 7 a.m. when I woke up? Or time just goes by very quickly. So I think that's definitely one of those kind of honest truths, is time is in a different kind of construct almost to when it was before. And I know I mentioned this in one of my previous vlogs, but it's more looking at it as a 24-hour cycle rather than a 12-hour day, and actually just rolling with it, adapting to different time frames over different days. I know with me at the moment, I very much am dictated by kind of what time he has his first feed, and then working with wake windows for the rest of the day. So there's not specific at 3 o'clock we do this, at 2 o'clock you do that, at 11 a.m. you have your nap, etc. So even though you might be feeling like you're busy the whole day, you can still end up thinking like, what did I do today? Or where did the morning go? And so it's this idea that, yeah, time looks differently. So let me move on to point number 3, because I'm conscious of timing. So number 3 is you can't plan your day like you used to. And I'm someone who loves to plan. I'm organised, I plan ahead, I am the one that makes the social plans, and obviously with running my business as well, like I have to plan my day quite meticulously. So the truth kind of here is that when we try, or at least from my experience, when you try and have rigid plans, that can lead to frustration. And so having some kind of loose structure is more beneficial. It alleviates that sort of sense of not being able to get things done or things not going to plan, and actually being more open-minded with how the day is going to look. I mean, it's a balance, right? Because when you're meeting up with friends, you can't just say to them, actually, can we move it 45 minutes because, you know, he's not down for a nap yet. Or when you're meeting up with a number of people, especially if they've also got babies, you know, you do have to work to a plan, but it's kind of like allowing yourself enough time to get somewhere, or adjusting the routine kind of before or after, or recognizing, okay, he's not going to have as long a nap now, so I'll make sure that he has a bed nap later. So I think for me, that's what helps, and also allowing like more time to get to places. So tomorrow I've got to go to the hospital for a dental checkup appointment for him, and I'm going to be taking 2 buses. My mum's very kindly coming with me because she's like, I'm free, I might as well come along. But we're going to allow plenty of time so that if we do need to get off for whatever reason, if there's traffic, if he's not happy, then we've got that flexibility and spaciousness either side. And that's really, really important. So it's kind of being more planning, but in a different way, and not getting caught up if things don't go to plan, because inevitably with a newborn, like we can't predict anything. So it might be that we have to change plans last minute or amend plans, and having that mindset towards it from the get-go is going to be really, really helpful. And yeah, I found if you try and plan things too much, then you end up getting frustrated, and then that doesn't help anyone. Okay, honest truth number 4, the smallest things feel like the biggest wins. And I'm such an advocate of this, and I think we should celebrate the small wins, because they are the big things at the moment. So things like washing our hair. Now, we won't get too excited and talk about drying our hair, because that is like a weekly win, I would say, if we get to dry our hair as well. Leaving the house to do a food shop, cooking a wholesome hot meal. Like, these are some of the things I was jotting down earlier when I was writing my points. It's like, these are small things, but they are big wins. I remember a while ago now, but a few weeks ago, when Rafi was like, I can't remember how old, but probably like 4 or 5 weeks or something. My husband was out in the evening, and I was like bopping him in the carrier, trying to eat my supper, standing up, and I was just like, oh my God, what is going on? Whereas now I can kind of sit down, because we put him down and fingers crossed he stays down. Then we can sit down together and have a hot meal and be kind of child free for that, short period of time. That is a big win. Obviously, back before he was here, that was not seen as a win. So it's kind of like adjusting our mindset and recognizing that some of these small things that seem very menial are big things that we should be celebrating. In the same way that what used to be productive may not seem productive now, and vice versa. But we're in a different phase, we're in a different era. And so we've got to give ourselves grace, and also be thankful and appreciative of when things do go well, and celebrating the small wins. As I say, like hanging out the washing in the sunshine when baby is napping, or cooking yourself a meal and having, 10 minutes without your phone to do that, or putting him down and he's started napping in his new pram. I celebrate that every single time, because I had a massive block and fear around the fact that he wouldn't sleep in his bassinet pram, and that was then limiting me and my movements. So that is a win. See what I mean? Okay, number 5. And I sort of couldn't quite figure out how to phrase this one, but I said your world gets smaller, but not in a bad way. And I definitely find that that's been a truth, in the sense that before he was here, I was very much of the mindset, and I still am, of like, he's not going to get in the way, we're going to carry on our life, and we're still going to go to the pub, we're still going to go out for supper, we're still going to see friends. And as much as we want to do that, sometimes that is not possible, because we're kind of we now introduce an evening routine. So until it gets to the point where that's very reliable and he stays down, then we can't just go out for supper, because it might be that we don't actually settle him and he's fully asleep until 8 o'clock. Okay, we could still go out after that, but I'm kind of tired by that point. So it's kind of like there's less noise, there's less rushing around, there's less travelling obviously across all different parts of London, and there's more of a focus of like being at home, being around family, doing things that are familiar, not stepping too far out of your comfort zone. And that's because this is a phase that we are still in. Like, I'm not going to be doing that in 6 months' time. I'm building my confidence every day with like travelling a little bit further, or getting on public transport, or taking the pram out and using the carrier as a backup. So it feels like it's smaller because I'm not going to as many places, but it's equally wholesome and nourishing and a way that I'm building my confidence. So yes, it's different, but it's not a bad thing. But I think we have to be realistic in what we can physically do in these first few weeks with a newborn. As much as I'd love to be going out for supper with friends, like, I'm breastfeeding, so that's not as simple. Or as much as I'd love to be going to a pub on Saturday night at 8 p.m. and having a glass of wine, right now that's not something that we're choosing to do, because we're kind of choosing to protect our sleep and our mental health and his routines, so that when it gets to a good place where it's more predictable and reliable, then we can do that freely. This is a very short period of time, so I'm not that bothered about that at the moment. So even though it feels smaller, it's wholesome and grounding, and it's not a bad thing. Okay, honest truth number 6, you have to let go of how you thought your days would look. This kind of alludes to the idea that things can change in any moment, and we have to let go of some of the things that we want to do. And if we're planning on maybe going for a run one morning or to the gym, and then baby's upset, or your babysitter cancels, or your husband suddenly stuck at work, that's just what happens. And the sooner that we can kind of let it go, the better. So we don't have the same amount of time in the day. We don't have as much freedom and flexibility as we did previously. Things will be left on the side. The house might look a little bit messier. All of these things, it's like, actually, is it that big of a deal? No. And what I've kind of come to terms to is these first 12 weeks at least, of that newborn phase, being in the 4th trimester, I have to let go of some of the things that I want to do. And that's just honestly part of being a mum. And I think that's going to be the truth forever moving forward. You have someone else that has more of a priority. And yes, you don't have anywhere near as much freedom and flexibility as your partner, but it's also a privilege because the baby needs us. We're feeding them, we're nurturing them, we're soothing them, we're teaching them and helping them grow up. And that takes a huge lot of time and energy. And, that means that we don't have as much time and energy for other things. So letting go of expectations is something that I talk about a lot of my work anyway with my clients. It helps you to not feel disappointed or frustrated when things don't go to plan, because if we don't expect things, then we can't be disappointed if they don't work out. Now, it's easier said than done, but I think in a newborn environment, that's super important, because we can just we can end up feeling disappointed or frustrated, or we can end up feeling pleasantly surprised and grateful and energized when we're like, let's just see how it goes, and then it works out better than we expect. So it's this idea that we have to let go of how we thought our days would look, and that's something that's been an honest truth for me, and something that I'm still learning to do. It's not easy, but actually taking things day by day, I have found to be so helpful, and that's a good way of managing expectations as well. Okay, finally, number 7, honest truth number 7 about being in the newborn phase. And it's this word balance. Balance looks different than we might have expected. And now, unless you have been in the newborn phase before, I'm going to assume, as it was for me, it is wildly different than you could ever imagine. Obviously, there's things that are true to what we thought, but it's all the in-betweens that you don't know until you're living it. Such as I said before, the mental load, the feeling of always being on, the navigating broken sleep, the anxiety of what if something goes wrong, the constantly trying to figure things out, the getting yourself out of your comfort zone, and then we want to have time for our relationships, our friendships, our own health, physical and mental health. So balance is a word that, I don't know, it's very hard to put a kind of definition around. And I kind of find like rhythm is more of or rhythm or blend are probably more accurate words, where there isn't such thing as perfect balance, but it's a blend of looking after yourself and also looking after baby. It's a blend of spending time with your partner, but also spending time for yourself to kind of unwind and recharge. So finding small pockets of time, having little moments for you, whether that's 10 minutes in the bathroom, doing like your skincare, whether it's giving yourself the time to blow dry your hair after you've washed it. And that changes daily, and that will change over the course of when our child is growing up. And we will ultimately only be getting more time as they get older, because they have more reliable nap routines, then they go to nursery. There's childcare options, there's friends, family, then there's obviously nursery and school. So it's kind of also realizing like we don't want to wish away this time. And it's such a short phase of their life anyway, that actually if we don't have perfect balance, that's not a problem, it looks differently. So hopefully some of those resonate, because I'm sure you are not alone in some of the things that you're thinking, the things that you're finding hard, the things you're finding challenging. We all have been there, whether you see it online or not, whether your friends tell you or not, like we're all experiencing something. And so I find, just to go off on a tiny bit of a tangent, like speaking to friends who are in similar positions or have been in positions is so helpful, because it helps you realize like I'm not the only one. And actually you get so many ideas and pearls of wisdom and like little insights that you wouldn't otherwise have. And yes, there's the internet, yes, there's ChatGPT, but actually speaking to someone like in person makes a really big difference. So hopefully by me sharing some of these honest truths around my newborn experience, provides that for you. But I would also love to hear anything else that's come up, anything that particularly that resonated, anything that maybe you're unsure of or you're going through right now. Make sure to pop them in the comments. I'm also active on Instagram, so by Nicola Bethwaite, but I will leave the link below. Please do leave a thumbs up or a comment. It really helps for me to see kind of who's watching, who's engaging, what kind of content is resonating, and so that I can keep creating the kind of content that you want. Anyway, I will speak to you soon, and yeah, as I say, comments, questions, thoughts, feelings, opinions, pop them below. Bye.